Recorded live in Denver, this is the Super Meeting Podcast from Nexstar.
If you look at the Blue Angels, all of their uniforms are tailored to the millimeter. All their flight suits, everything. And you start to pick up on it, the more, now you won't be able to not look at them and not actually notice this. So they get weighed, they get measured, everything is just perfectly for them, could never actually go on another person again. But when you see everything, then it's because then you present this picture of, it is such extreme attention to detail that then goes to, how do you march together? How are you going to operate together? How are you going to fly together? How are you going to problem solve together? Which then becomes a brand magnet or a funnel, because you don't know why when you're in Duluth, you know, maybe throwing back a 16 ounce or you got a handful of cotton candy and you're like, I don't know what that is, but I want to be a part of that. That looks really squared away.
Yeah.
So it's that perception, it's the feeling that you give to people. If you're running a fleet of 5 trucks or 15 trucks, is there going to be consistency in how people show up? You know, and people depend on that. We depend on, in a very uncertain world, we depend on certainty. And if that's something you have control of, to have a unified and a cohesive experience for your customers, why not do that?
Welcome to the Super Meeting Podcast. My name is Nick Rao, digital marketing coach here at Nexstar, and today I am a podcast host as well. I get to welcome my guest today, Carey Lohrenz. Carey, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Nick. Well, I'm Carey. I was one of the very first women to be assigned to fly the F-14 Tomcat on and off carriers in the United States Navy. So I spent about 10 years doing that. I've written a couple of books that are Wall Street Journal bestsellers, and I'm a mom of 4 kids. And I work with companies helping them build high-performing teams and their leadership skill sets.
Beautiful, and that's awesome. You did that for us today, this morning. Tell us a little bit about how this morning went. Did it go good? How did you feel about it?
Yes, no, amazing. Everybody was so energetic, which I was so thrilled about because they were so busy networking quite late last night, but yet they brought the energy, so that was really fun. But yeah, we were able to talk about some really important things on how we are going to navigate uncertainty, what it's going to take from us as leaders, whether that's stepping up with a little extra courage and maybe some tenacity, and then what are some processes or a couple of tools that can really help us navigate what is quite crushing uncertainty right now. There's a lot of turbulence in the marketplace right now, and I think that right now is a time that being in this community is a great time to double down on, hey, how can we share some lessons learned? Where are those best practices so that we can identify the opportunities when things feel really challenging? So it was a good morning.
Excellent. Yeah, and I'm super glad that we get to talk through some of those today.
Yeah, let's do it.
One of the things that we say a lot here at Nexstar is the way that you do anything is the way that you do everything. And so definitely that story that you were telling about the Blue Angels and like why like this has to be meticulous because everything you're going to do is going to be meticulous. And that leads into like people are going to have eyes on you all the time while you're in the air, while you're not in the air, and you have to be ready for that because that is what the goal of this is. The goal of this is to have eyes on you. So if that's what we're trying to achieve, we have to be meticulous in making sure that that's there.
Right. And I think all of that is, and I had shared some this morning, it's based on that foundation of, regardless of the business that you are running or leading right now, is defining early on or today or this month, what does success look like for you? It may look different for you if you're running a business that's a single state business than it looks like for somebody who's running a multi-state business, right? Yep. But even what is your vision? What is the feeling? What is the experience you want your customers to have? Think about that and be intentional about that because everything else is going to stem from that. How your experts show up, you know, how you show up in the field, how you're communicating with each other, with your customers. And none of that happens by chance. And if you haven't put a ton of thought into it, maybe you have a legacy business that you picked up from your mom or your dad whoever the case may be.
Very common here.
Yeah, that you're like, oh, it just is what it is. We just do our thing. I couldn't even really articulate it. take some time to just think about it. It doesn't have to be complicated, but just think about it and write it down and think, okay, what next? Or what are some areas that are maybe some blind spots, or maybe we have a few new team members. Are we actually onboarding them with training? Don't assume that they're going to just magically pick up on the fundamentals, because assuming it could be the death of your business. Right? So if I brought it back into my world for just a hot second, everything we did was built on a foundation of building blocks that, first you crawl, then you crawl a little farther, then you do this, and then you walk, and then you run. You don't just get thrown out into the abyss and, how are you going to fly a fighter? No.
Congratulations. We've selected you from the lottery, and now you're in the plane.
Yep. So really no different than if you're looking for really an ability to provide long-term value with experts that are in the field. It's that relentless preparation and training that you cannot skip over.
Yep.
That is the foundation of everything. So then when things do fall apart, or I don't know, maybe you're trying to implement new software and that goes down, and all of a sudden all your iPads in the field are not working.
Yep. Can
they still sufficiently articulate what the problem is without looking at it on their iPad, right?
Exactly.
That goes back to training. It goes back to mentoring.
Yeah, and finding those point of failures and being able to say, okay, we're going to hope that it doesn't, but we need to be ready when it does.
Right. And that's one of the things that I think, and I alluded to it today, is that we, as fighter pilots, we are very, very much high risk managers, because everything we do, generally we're operating at the edges of the envelope. So we take the time before we ever get airborne. We take the time before we ever even actually physically get into an airplane, before we're even in a simulator. We are training for what are the emergencies, what are the things that can go wrong. We what if everything to death. If we have a plan, we then call it red teaming, because I think I'm a really good planner. I'm a great strategic planner. I've been hired.
You should see the vacations that we got.
You should see. Well, I've worked with lots of companies helping people develop strategic plans. So I think I'm I actually think I'm an above average strategic planner. My plans are never perfect. So how do I build the best plan that I can do? Once you think you have your perfect plan, you bring in a red team. Maybe it's a person, maybe it's 3 people. It's somebody who was not involved in the development of that plan. And you just with a lot of vulnerability go, hey, can you drag your eyes across my plan and poke holes in this? Everyone loves to do that, right? Yeah, give me your plan. I'll find your holes.
We talk about that a lot of like, hey, I developed something. Tell me what I missed. Like you talked a lot about blind spots, poking holes. We talk a lot about that, and being open to that kind of feedback to help make you better.
But you have to be willing to feel vulnerable, because somebody's going to tell you did something wrong, even though you just shared with them your perfect baby. So you take that time, maybe to red plan something real quick, find the holes, poke holes in it, because you want that place to deviate from, right? Have that initial plan, so that you can have that bias for action.
It's really interesting that you talk about being a wonderful planner, and like that's one of your strong suits, because if I'm remembering correctly from your talk earlier today, that what you went to school for was not what you ended up being in.
No.
Which is same thing that happened to me. I went to school for one thing, and then I'm now doing this, and I love it, but it was very different. So like, was that always a strength of yours? Like what was the plan? Where did this become part of the plan?
No. And to be clear, just to back up, I want to emphasize for anybody who is watching or listening, my vacation plans are not in depth. There is no spreadsheet. I am not your Google girly. I am not that. I will get the tickets. I know the dates we're going. I am a let's roll girl.
Nice.
So when we show up, it's going to be feet on the ground. We're doing 25,000 steps a day, and we may or may not see what we want to see, because we don't actually have a plan. I'm just there for in the moment. Let's go and let's do that.
You've got the set pieces. Like, I know where we're gonna. We got to fly in, and we got to stay somewhere. And as long as we have those 2 things, we'll figure out the rest.
We'll figure out the rest. Yeah. So I just want that.
So you have a little bit of a penchant for adventure is what I'm finding.
But that's also a level set, because I don't want people to think that I'm the nerdy one or the super detailed oriented one that has that Google sheet all the time.
Yeah.
I am not wired like that. I hate Excel spreadsheets. I hate Google Sheets. They're the bane of my existence. Put it all in a Word doc or put it on a Post-it note, or I don't need to do that. But going back to the planning part, what you do learn really, really quickly in aviation for sure is that if you fail to plan, you will fail.
Yep.
And there's so much validity in taking the time to plan, because what you learn is we just very quickly, and again, you don't have to spend an hour a day doing this. In that time that you take to plan, it can take 2 minutes. Look at the threats, look at the resources, and who are the people that you're going to assign to either of those or the next course of action.
Got it.
Because the hardest thing I hear right now, and we are working in an exceptionally uncertain, very dynamic environment, where every plan you make every day could get ripped to shreds because it's going to be different 2 days later. There's still value in doing the plan and not just winging it.
Yep.
Because every day then you can make hopefully these micro adjustments that, maybe the apple cart is going to get completely tipped over because now it's 125% tariff, or, there's some PE angle to whatever you happen to be doing.
Yeah.
But at least you have a place to deviate from. And you're not just trusting vibes and intuition.
100%.
And you've talked about the things that could go bad or that are going to be a challenge. That's where the value in the planning piece goes, because then even if you have a couple of people that have heard this or have heard your plan, it gives them a place to deviate from, but that still keeps you on track and still heading in a good direction.
Yeah.
And that's where you want to be, right? There's no Blue Angel air show that's ever gone perfect. There's no Thunderbird air show that's ever gone perfect. There's no plan that has ever been executed perfectly. But you have a place to start from that you can deviate from and still hopefully be successful.
That's awesome.
And do you know how you learn how to do that really well? You asked about that. Checklists. You live and die by the checklist.
Yep.
And that is something that I definitely learned. My dad had been a military pilot, so he would always have a few little multi-step checklists. And I'm like, that's maybe he just doesn't remember how to do that because he's getting older. And now I'm like, it's actually because really smart people forget really important things, especially when you're really task saturated or you're overwhelmed.
Or stress saturated.
Absolutely. But with a checklist, if you drag your eyes across it, you'll never forget anything because it's in the checklist.
Yeah. It's funny. It reminds me, one of the things that I talk about with my members, because we are big on planning as well. I know that so Thad, you interacted with him today during your talk, and he is big on also coming from military background, the plan. We're going to run through it. We're going to know it. And that way, as soon as it deviates from that plan, we still have the training to fall back on, and we know what we're going to do.
That's right.
And so we do that a lot. We have our business planning, we have our marketing planning, and we do that for that exact same reason, because when those plans change, and they ultimately will need to, nothing ever goes perfect, as you said, we're going to need to be ready for it and have that way to pivot that we have already talked about. We already have some training for.
Right. Yeah. And I think one thing that's notable too is that I think too often people think of planning or taking the time to plan as a single event.
Yep.
Like, we planned 3 months ago, or we did a plan 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
So I'm going to share with you a little insider baseball that maybe can get you thinking about
for this, yes.
how you plan and how you adjust really, really quickly. So, we're gonna leverage the expertise that is Top Gun. At the end of every single day, they very, very quickly, and we did this in our squadrons as well, you look back at, okay, how did today's flight schedule go?
Yep.
And immediately you change and you adjust to what you need to do the next day. Now, obviously, even in this industry, that happens as well. And there is still more movement though, as people are
Yeah.
calling in and there are emergencies, there are leaks, there are, things
Yeah,
blow
there's
up, they melt, they
technicians
catch on
that might
fire.
not show up for the day. There's the different jobs that come in. There's the ones that are on the board. There's the different levels of members. They do have a lot of stuff to think
Absolutely.
about and a lot of moving parts.
Absolutely. But when you have that checklist, it takes away some of the mental load. So you can very systematically go through things quickly, and you can pick up on trends of what's changing and what's not, or where maybe you need a little more help or need to devote a little more resources. Maybe it's more people.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more marketing, right?
Yep.
That you're like, I thought we were going to do that in 2 months. And you're like, oh, kind of need that now. But you pick up on trends a lot more quickly that then can help you sustain and grow your business in what is really a tumultuous marketplace right now.
Yeah, totally. One of the things that I always think is very funny, and I reference this a lot, is I don't know if you're familiar with the movie The Dark Knight.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm going to paraphrase here, but the Joker had said something in that movie that's like, it doesn't matter if the plan is a tragedy plan, but when there's a plan, there's not chaos. And a plan, even a bad one, calms all of that. And so like it's once we leave that, or once there's no plan at all, then that chaos comes in. So the plan really does help. Even in a bad plan, like, okay, yeah, things were going to go terrible, but everyone's still calm because they know what that's going to be. That puts you in that right mindset. Not saying go out and make a bad plan, like we want the best plan we can make, but that calmness that can come with the plan that can really help you make better split-second decisions, which I know is something that you've had to do a lot.
So this is where, and trying to clarify the complex, and we talked about that a little bit this morning, is what is going to be the hardest thing to do for any leader or any operator right now. So what we always tried to do is take the really complicated things and make it either memorable or put it in a smaller package, because nobody's got time for a 27-point checklist, right? I don't have time for that. You don't have time for that. Well, we like to do that, sure, but day in and day out, it's going to be a slog fest. So I try to think of how can you eliminate task saturation or task overload in a really dynamic environment. And when I share the idea of, hey, 80% information is good enough, we just have to have this biased act, keep moving, just keep moving. If it's 3 steps. So I call it prepare, perform, prevail. Okay. At the front end, think of it as bookends. At the front end, the prepare phase is when you take the time to plan. So you take the time to plan, and then you brief your team. So maybe that's a first thing in the morning before everybody goes out.
Yeah.
Maybe it's an end of day wrap up.
Daily huddles is one of the things we do. So yeah.
Yes, but you develop a rhythm. So you take the time because you've taken the time to plan. You're socializing it. So now generally, most people should know what success looks like, because our goal should be to have the execution, our day-to-day, 9 to 5, 8 to 4, 9 to 7:30, whatever the case may be.
Whatever hours you want to work.
9 to 7:30, wouldn't that be sweet?
Yeah.
We want it to be predictable, and a predictable path that we can still deviate from a little bit, but predictable. Where you make your money and where you get your time back, though, is in the debrief. Because in the debrief, we want to learn really quickly what worked today, what didn't, and why.
Yes.
And how do we incorporate that into next time? It's also from whether you're a team leader, you're an owner, it's where you learn very quickly if your people actually know what success looks like.
Yes.
And it's in that debrief that we always operate with the mindset of, remember, it is not about who is right. It is about what is right. So you're looking to be very solutions oriented, and everybody needs to set their egos aside.
Yeah.
So even as the boss or as the lead, I may be leading 10 wingmen, or maybe I am, number 10.
Yeah.
That everybody brings to the table that vulnerability, and you can call it authenticity if you want to, that we're here to make the best team and the best customer experience we can. So when we come back to debrief, my first thing is to say, this is what the plan was. This is what I thought we were doing. These are the mistakes I made today, and I can fix them. Or these are the mistakes I made. I can fix this one, this one, this one, this one. I still have no clue and I need help.
Yeah.
And it's when you ask for help. So it's in that that you start cycling through this very doable process, that whether it's my process of prepare, perform, prevail, or what it is that you teach from an execution and a planning phase. Again, this goes back to the overwhelm right now. Pick your method and do it. Execute on it. We hopefully not too much in your membership community, but what my experience has been, where you see points of failure are when people try to glom on to the next shiny thing. And next thing you know, you're rolling through a different operational excellence platform or a different way of doing business, maybe every 3 months or every 6 months, which guess what happens then? You have people who have a lot of experience on the team, who literally now are going to become, I call them cave people. All love and affection.
Yeah, tell me more.
Citizens against virtually everything.
They're
going to be the ones who literally are going to sit there with their arms crossed going, yeah. Brad's got a great idea. This is going to pass in 3 weeks when he realizes it's too complicated, right? So they just show up every day. They might do 1 or 2 things that you're saying, that you're asking them to do differently, but they're just going to wait for it to pass. So whether it's Thad talking about his military background, that was a little bit different than mine, but I would submit to you, and having had, my dad was a Marine, my husband was a Marine, even though some of the words and some of the acronyms were very similar and we interacted so much with the Marine Corps, that they were, I think both of us are very, very good at clarifying the complex so people can get their jobs done. And again, knowing that, and this is such an important person perspective, calm is contagious. And there is no environment that panic-stricken people make good decisions.
Yeah.
So how do we put our people in a position to succeed and keep the stress levels down so they can make a good decision?
Yeah, it was really interesting where you mentioned like the shiny objects. That is something that we deal with a lot in marketing because there's a lot of new things that happen, and our members deal with that a lot too. And the visualization I got in my head was like, I imagine you again with the 10 wingmen and going that way. And if you have a clear target and you're all going for that, and even one person, whether the lead or any one of the wingmen, saw something and without proper communication just peeled off and did something else, it could very easily devolve everybody else who thought they had the vision and was there into chaos of like, what was that? Now what do we do? And it increases those stress levels of everyone, which makes it a lot harder. So the chasing those shiny objects has so many residual effects that you might not think about.
It does. Well, and this is a part where I think, and you don't hear people talking about it a ton, but one of the skill sets that I think most aviators are really good at, and the irony is how long we've been chatting, is that calm brevity, brief communication that's clear and understandable and important, that gets across a point that you need, is actually a critical skill set. Because we don't have time to clog up the radios. We don't have time to sit there and do a whole soliloquy of what I think I'm seeing. And, well, maybe it's this or maybe it's that. Can
we call the team together? Can everyone look over here and give us an idea on what you think? Everyone speak once before anyone speaks twice.
That meeting could have been an email. We don't want it. We like clear, concise communication. But all of that, again, it's built on a foundation of training. You cannot expect people to show up with this skill set because most people don't have that skill set. So we need to train people. How are we going to communicate within our teams? How are we going to talk to each other? What's the shared language, which sounds kind of woo-woo, but it's not. What's the shared
Some corporate
language?
speak might be good in this situation. So using the shared language, I agree.
But and in no way, shape, or form, I never have been, nor will I ever be an advocate for BS corporate speak. I think it's mucky. I think it's
Jargon
muddy.
is a word that just never comes out.
Everybody disengages. Nobody wants to hear that BS, right? Clear as kind. Clear as kind. We don't need to mark it up with big long words or long explanations. We want to be solutions driven and clear so that our people can take action with the best information possible.
Got it. So there's one more thing that I heard that I really want to dig into before we kind of close out. It's that I know that you're very intentional. As you said, you're a good planner, and I know the words that you use for a reason. And one of the words I heard, that third P, which we didn't really lean in on yet, but I think I love the word you used, prevail. Tell me why that is the word that you used as prevail.
Oh, that's such a thoughtful question. Because I believe that if you are looking to be successful, if you are looking to bring more value to the table in whatever way that may be, that to me is prevailing. But the only way to do that consistently is going to be by debriefing.
Yeah.
If you are not debriefing right now, I can promise you hand over heart, you are spending way too much time firefighting. You may have a culture that celebrates the big saves, where you're high-fiving each other. Maybe you're having a cocktail after, ooh, that was a tough day. Big save, big save. Yep. We actually don't want those. Yeah. Like yes, celebrate your success. Yes, celebrate the good things at work. But if you are running on this treadmill of firefighting, it's because there are other things that have happened. If that's a regular thing for you. I'm not talking about a one-off where all of a sudden, again, maybe all of a sudden now you have another 125% tariffs. You're gonna be firefighting.
Exactly.
Bring out the fire cannons, right? You're gonna be firefighting. But what you don't want is that culture where everybody is always on high alert or high warble to firefight, or that they have to. We want things to be where we can be solutions oriented. And that's how you prevail. It's in the debrief piece of it. And the number one piece of pushback that I hear from people, or people nod and, I get that. But I'm telling you, we do not have time for that. We're so busy running our businesses. We're so busy working. We simply don't have time to do that. My pushback to that is, no, the reason you don't have time to do that is because you are so busy firefighting, or there are pieces in your execution that people are overwhelmed or they are misaligned. If you don't believe me, look at the difference in, this might be a relatable example for, we'll say, half of your listeners or watchers. If you have a few years under your belt, you might remember the days where when you watched football, that they would come back, in between the plays, and they would kind of talk about what happened so they could do better the next play. Then all of a sudden they were getting on the phone and they were talking about what they could do better because there's new technology, right? Now they don't even have their helmets off. They don't even have that big splash of Gatorade or a butt slap yet, and the thermal printer was kicking stuff out. Now we're not even bothering with thermal printers. It's all on the iPad in real time. What are they doing? They're debriefing in real time. And then they're going to go back and they're going to do a more complex debrief. But they're not leaving success to chance. They want to look at and visually see immediately what's working, what's not, and why. They don't half the time look at the iPad. If it was bad, they look at the iPad even if it did work. Because they want to be able to replicate that. So everything we do, again, is about not leaving success to chance. That's the prevail phase. If I just hand over heart, I promise you, if you're not taking the time to debrief right now, I don't care. My books are always on sale on Amazon. Go to your independent book leader, bookshop if you want, but always
books
on sale.
Books available wherever fine books are sold.
Wherever fine books are sold. Audible as well, Kindle if that's your jam. But seriously, even I don't care if you don't read any of it. Drag your eyeballs across debriefing, throw it on your Xerox machine, take a picture of it, post it, socialize it. It will be the fastest way that you can get your sanity back in a really uncertain environment.
Got it. I love that because and for me, when I heard the word prevail, I think what struck me about it most was that it was prevail can mean succeeding or overcoming. And so it doesn't necessarily indicate a 100% positive result, but 100% positive outcome that we're going to get from it.
Hey, you know what the reality is right now in this marketplace and everything that is happening right now, prevailing could mean that you stay open. That you live to fight another day. Some days our goal is just simply to live to fight another day. Yes. And we should be able to say that. I'm hanging on by the skin of my teeth right now. I need whatever that little thing is that's going to get me through the next month or get me to the 15th or get me through the next 60 days before all the payables come in. What is it? What can I do? So this is where, again, whether it is maybe you are in marketing and you're trying to figure out, okay, now I have people talking about AI and how I'm supposed to leverage all this. I'm sorry, but what do most people do right now when we get so crushed by overwhelm? You're either going to hop on the couch and start watching ESPN, or you're going to watch Ozark for the 7th time, right? Because we're tapping out.
Go to your comfort food.
Yes. Chocolate cake or Peaky Blinders. I don't know, maybe both. Because it's so overwhelming. So just think of a few of the things with, maybe it's the system that you all are helping with your members try to implement and build. And maybe you can take a couple of things that I've shared and augment it with that, but stick with it. Don't back away from the fundamentals when things get tough, because the fundamentals are what will keep you in business when things feel impossible.
I love that. That's like a soundbite I think I'm going to need to use 100 times. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Carey Lohrenz, so wonderful to have you. Thank you for sharing your time with us today.
Yes,
this was
thanks
wonderful.
for having me.
Not a problem.
Glad to be here.
Thank you so much for listening. Head on over to youtube.com/Nexstar Network to get your podcast fix, and subscribe to get updated on all the newest releases.